So this one day I was getting ready to play on my PlayStation 4 Pro since I have it sitting in the other room, and I realized that my DualShock 4 controller was sitting right next to my PlayStation 5. I wanted to make sure that the battery was charged up, and I figured while it's sitting in this room, why don't I just try and hook it up through a micro USB cable to USB into the PlayStation 5 and see what happens. And the PlayStation 5 wasn't started up yet, so I decided to power it up holding the home button on the DualShock 4, and look what happened! What is up, my fellow hamsters? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to share with you how to connect your DualShock 4 controller to your PlayStation 5. As always, if you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please let me know by dropping a like down below, and do not forget to subscribe so that you can always stay up to date on my latest helpful PlayStation videos just like these. Let's get right into it. If this is your first time connecting your DualShock 4 PlayStation 4 controller to your PlayStation 5, what you're first going to want to do is you're going to want to find a micro USB to USB cable similar to that came with your PlayStation 4 and your DualShock 4 controller in the past, or you can just find one if you got one laying around your office or house. Once you find one, make sure you connect it to your PlayStation 5, and then what you want to do is you want to connect it to your DualShock 4 controller that you wish to connect to your PlayStation 5. Once you connect it to your PlayStation 5, you're going to want to push and hold the home button in the middle of the controller, and then actually a prompt will come up and it'll ask you who is using this DualShock 4 controller so that you can open your PlayStation profile. Once you hit the X button to confirm your profile, then you're ready to start using your DualShock 4 controller, which is absolutely awesome. The other cool thing about this too is you don't need to leave it plugged in once you've got it connected to the PlayStation 5. You can actually unplug it and use it in a wireless state as well, as you can see here. And I made sure to try it on several PlayStation 4 titles that are loaded up on my PlayStation 5, like The Witcher 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and Overwatch, just to name a few. And this controller performs absolutely outstanding on the PlayStation 5, just like it does on the PlayStation 4 Pro that I have sitting in the other room. The flexibility of having your DualShock 4 controller to play on the PlayStation 5 is so cool, because now if you're thinking that, you know, I got a DualSense controller and I'm gonna need to get another one because, you know, say the battery's gonna run out after a few hours of play and I'm gonna need another one to swap with. If you're playing a PlayStation 4 game on your PlayStation 5, which, let's face it, a lot of us are still playing a lot of really good PlayStation 4 titles on the PlayStation 5, you can just switch in between, once it's connected, between your DualSense controller by holding the home button on the DualSense controller and then asking you who's using it and then going into it. So see, it works on here now. And then you can switch between the DualSense controller and the DualSense controller and DualShock controller. So you can switch to this one now and hold the button here. Confirm what your profile is on here. Once you're into it, now the DualShock controller is active. So you can swap between each one on the fly, and it's absolutely incredible. So if you're running out of battery on one, or you just prefer the feel on the DualShock controller over the DualSense controller, because the palm rests and the triggers and the joystick do feel a little bit different between the two, this is definitely a welcome addition to the PlayStation 5. Now, like I said, you can play PlayStation 4 games on the PlayStation 5 with a compatible DualShock 4 controller. However, at the moment, you can only play PlayStation 4 games on the PlayStation 5, and you cannot play PlayStation 5 games like Call of Duty Black Ops, and I think this is because the newer games are optimized for the newer haptic feedback and adaptive triggers that are found on the DualSense controller. I'm hoping that Sony comes out with an update in the near future to provide DualShock 4 support for PlayStation 5 games, albeit of course without the haptic feedback and adaptive trigger features, so that we can continue to switch between DualSense controllers and DualShock controllers on the fly for battery issues or just for preference of feel between each one, similar to how you can interchangeably use Xbox controllers on the Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One. Another really cool thing about this is if you're experiencing anything like stick drift issues on either your DualSense controller or your DualShock controller, and it's just driving you absolutely nuts, you don't have to worry about sticking with one controller. Of course, as long as you're playing a PlayStation 4 game, you can just simply switch on the fly between the DualSense controller and the DualShock controller on the fly, and it's absolutely awesome. On that note, if you are experiencing any kind of stick drift on the DualSense controller, I recently published a video to help with that issue, and I'll leave it up here and down in the description below so that you can troubleshoot that issue on your DualSense controller right away. As always, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please be sure to hit that like button and join the Hamster Nation by subscribing down below so that you can always stay up to date on my latest helpful PlayStation videos just like these. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.